What's up, YouTube? Logan Prater back here with another video. This is going to be another collection update, so nothing special, just showing some stuff that I've kind of acquired in the past couple weeks at various kind of record and CD stores around my area. Before we jump into that, though, I want to give some thanks and some shout outs. Got my notes here so I don't forget anybody. I probably still will. I've wrote some down, but there's still probably some that I'll forget to mention. But Rick over at the Dreadful Minutes and Nick over at Deathlike Reviews, I'll leave links for their channels down below. Just want to thank them for letting me onto their streams that they've been having. It's a lot of fun, and hopefully I can get back on some of them if I'm still welcome. I just want to thank those guys for kind of letting me on the streams and just kind of, and from that, my channel's gotten a little more traffic. Rick gave me a shout out, and I guess his last video. So the Dreadful Minutes and Deathlike Reviews, check them out. Leave a link. Um, Also want to give some shout outs to some other guys that have been on the streams. Really cool dudes. Jeff, Metal Madness 66, really fucking cool guy, knows his shit. Super laid back. Yeah, just go check out his channel as well. Jacob over at Hymns of My Wake, check his channel out. He's been on the streams as well. Um, Stefan, check his fucking channel out. And then some guys, some newer guys that have just kind of got the ball rolling with their channels around the same time I have. They've also been on the streams. I just want to shout them out as well. CJ Yakub, he's not only got a YouTube channel, he's also in he's in a couple bands playing drums, session kind of stuff. He's gonna go places for sure. But CJ Yakub, check his channel out, and Brian Arkham as well. Um, yeah, check all those guys out. You know, I'll leave links to all their channels down below if I can remember. um, but yeah, now that we've got the thanks and shout outs out of the way, hope I didn't forget anybody. I'm sure I did. But yeah, let's just get into this fucking collection update, man. So first up, we've got I kind of wanted to start it off with a classic. I picked this one up kind of to fill in a hole in the collection of this band, and that band is Judas Priest with British Steel. This is super legendary stuff. I mean, it's kind of a shame I didn't already have it. I just kind of, I guess, I've seen it 1,000 times in stores and just kind of been, oh, I'll see it again. I just kind of would pass it up to buy some other stuff that, I guess I feel like I wouldn't find, elsewhere. But yeah, super classic album. I mean, I wouldn't say it's my favorite Judas Priest, but you can't deny that this was kind of their breakthrough album. I guess at least, you know, it kind of broke them into the mainstream, and then, you know, I guess Screaming for Vengeance, which would come 2 albums later, would kind of that would kind of break them through like in America. This one was more breakthrough in Europe, I guess. But it's kind of a bit more compared to the albums before this. It's a bit more poppy, which is not a bad thing. It's super catchy. I could probably go without hearing "Living After Midnight" ever again. But even some of the other hits on this album, "Metal Gods," "Breaking the Law," "Grinder," awesome stuff, and even some of the more deeper cuts like Steeler and stuff like that. Rapid Fire. It's not really a deep cut; it's the first song, but yeah, just really good stuff. I would definitely say I'd probably start with this and um, maybe like Hellbent for Leather, this and Screaming for Vengeance. I would say start with if you're trying to get into Priest. But yeah, I think I already showed the back. There's the inside. This is the 2001 remaster, by the way. So it's got a bonus track on here, Red, White, and Blue. I think in my opinion, all the bonus tracks on these remasters, they all kind of suck, and you can tell why they weren't put on albums. They're kind of like unfinished. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, check this fucking album out if you have. I mean, obviously you've probably fucking heard this album, Judas Priest, British Steel. Come on. Anyway, yeah, good shit. Moving on, we're actually gonna stick with Rob Halford, another one of his bands. I picked this one up a couple weeks ago, and this was one of those that was kind of like I had to have this because I don't know that I would find this in many other places, and that is the first Fight album, War of Words, which came out in 1993. Um, this was the first album Rob Halford put out or was on after leaving Judas Priest in 92, 91, 92, somewhere in there. Um, this is kind of like, I think this album still sounds quite a bit like Priest at parts. Of course, it's kind of like Priest if, it basically kind of sounds like Judas Priest, but they'd been listening to like Pantera for while they were writing this album, which there's nothing wrong with that. Pantera with Rob Halford on vocals. I mean, I'll fucking take it. If this album's pretty fucking solid. Um, there's the back, and it's kind of as I drop it, that's kind of embarrassing. Um, but anyway, yeah, there's the inside. It's broke anyway, so CD didn't fall out, thankfully. But yeah, just a great fucking album. Into the Pit's awesome. Immortal Sin, I think, was the single off of this one. The title track's awesome. Contortion is really good. Um, I mean, yeah, just pretty solid album. I don't know. I've not heard the second Fight album. They did two. Well, Fight did two albums and then they split up, and then Rob Halford would form a band called Two, which that fucking blowed. And then he went back to Halford with some metal stuff with the Halford band, and then he rejoined Judas Priest, of course. But yeah, if you've never fucking heard this, man, there's a lot of people that haven't for some reason that I've talked to. They, if it's not Halford singing for Priest, they don't want to fucking hear it. But I would definitely recommend checking this one out. If there's any kind of Halford um, stuff outside of Judas Priest, I'd say this would probably be the most underrated and overlooked. But yeah, definitely fucking check it out. Fight with War of Words. Moving on, we're going to. So I've been into like Judas Priest and Rob Halford and all that kind of stuff for a long time. This next band is a band that I've only really recently gotten into in the last, well, really since probably the pandemic got started. Um, yeah, like during the late spring, early summer. But I feel like I'm pretty well versed in this band's discography now. Like I'm kind of obsessed with them. Kind of like how I was with Dream Theater earlier in the pandemic or the quarantine as well. Kind of got obsessed with this band too. And this is the first album I've bought by this band, and it is. I just actually picked this up last weekend. Um, band's Blind Guardian, and this is their Somewhere Far Beyond album from 1992. Um, yeah, I mean, Blind Guardian is fucking, they're titans as far as the European power metal goes, which European power metal is the power metal I actually prefer, like them and Halloween, Sabaton, Rhapsody, what have you. I'm into that more than the American stuff. But yeah, this album, Somewhere Far Beyond, is kind of like, I guess you could call this one like a transition album. This is their fourth full length, 1992, like I said, and this one is kind of like I said, the transition album. I would say between their more speed metally stuff, which on the first three albums, and the more just epic power metally stuff that would come after this, starting with Imaginations from the Other Side. Um, I mean, some people can argue that Tales from the Twilight World was more of the transition album. I think that one's still more of a straightforward speed metal record. I mean, they'd kind of been hinting with each album, what direction they were going. And this one, they kind of broke it open, I would say, with, of course, you still got your speed medley stuff like Time, What is Time, Journey Through the Dark, Ashes to Ashes, Somewhere Far Beyond. But then you've also got some stuff that, where they kind of slow it down, and it's not as fast, like, Theater of Pain, The Quest for Tanalorn, the Bard song in the Forest, obviously a fan favorite, the ballad. I think that's one of their best songs. Period. Um, those kinds of songs kind of hinted more so than anything else they'd put out that they were definitely going in a different direction. Um, but yeah, super awesome fucking album. I would say it's definitely top five Blind Guardian for me. Um, Maybe even I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it's up there. Is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, super fucking awesome album. Um, yeah, check that shit out, man. Blind Guardian, Somewhere Far Beyond. So, moving on, we're going to kind of stick with the maybe not, well, I guess you could almost call this like proto power metal, and like we're kind of sticking with the Dungeons and Dragons kind of vibe though, with the next, I guess, really three albums. Um, and so yeah, let's just they've all got the same guy on vocals. It's not all the same band, but it's all the same guy on vocals. And the first one I want to show is Dio, Last in Line. Came out in 1983. Um, an absolute fucking classic in the kind of just straightforward heavy metal. I would call this really the first you know three or four Dio albums. I would definitely call like proto power metal. Like he was singing about all the same themes, and there was keyboards and stuff in it. So I don't know that it's full on power metal, but it's definitely there's some power metal leanings in all of Dio's kind of solo or the Dio band's music. Um, but yeah, this, like I said, just a complete classic. You all know this one, and it's essentially, the Last in Line is basically Holy Diver Part Two. I mean, it's not much different. Um, and I would also say it's just as strong as Holy Diver too, if not stronger. Of course, the fan favorites, We Rock, The Last in Line, Breathless is good. Mystery is kind of like, his attempt at making um, Rainbow in the Dark Part 2. Of course, Egypt, The Chains Are On is fucking amazing. Kind of a more, just kind of marchy, doomy almost track. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's just classic material from Dio, essential stuff. Um, yeah, fucking check it out if you haven't. You probably have, but Dio, The Last in Line. And we're going to stick with the Dio band for the next one. And this one is, I would say, one that might be, well, I would still consider this classic Dio. Um, but I think that I don't hear a lot of people talking about this one as much as, say, Holy Diver or The Last in Line or like Dream Evil, for example. And that is 1990's Lock Up the Wolves. This one's a really interesting one. This is kind of post. What was it? Vivian Campbell was in Dio, right? Yeah. This was two albums. This was the second album after he had departed. The follow up to Dream Evil from 1988 or 1987, something like that. But this one features Rowan Robertson. Robertson, yeah, Rowan Robertson on guitar. And this is the only album he did with the band. But when he recorded this, he was 18 years old. So that is just super impressive. And he brings, I think, a really bluesy influence to Dio. It's almost, oh, sorry, my phone was ringing. But it's almost, I would say this is almost a blues metal album. And there's even some doomy parts too, I would say. Which kind of hinted with I think that what was the next one, Strange Highways, which is like super doomy, and but yeah, I would consider this one, at least in my book, to be the last kind of classic kind of Dio album, where at least the last one where he was playing in kind of that same style as he was during that classic period with the as he got more into the 90s, it got heavier and doomier and weirder, I guess, for the Dio band. But yeah, super fucking awesome album. Um, all of them are awesome that I'm showing. This one actually has a really cool poster inside of the lineup that recorded this album. I would hang this up, but it's like, it's not, I don't want to not have the album cover on there, but super, super fucking cool. I would definitely hang that shit up, man. if this wasn't like the booklet. But yeah, um, I think a super underrated Dio album, and one that if you've not given a shot, you should definitely check out. Dio with Lock Up the Wolves. Yeah, I thought I was about to forget the fucking title. Moving on, we're sticking with Ronnie James Dio on vocals, but it's for a different band. And I would say it is probably the other band he is most well known for. Well, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's not technically that band, they have a different name. Um, for legal reasons, but you probably know what I'm talking about now. And it is Heaven and Hell, the band Heaven and Hell, with their live album. It's called Neon Nights 30 Years of Heaven and Hell, live in Europe. This was recorded at Wacken 2009, and I just have to say, like, any live album recorded at Wacken, like, I don't know, there's something about it. You can just tell that it's recorded at Wacken. It just has this feel about it, and it's this special fucking feel, and it's just makes for a really special performance. And this is no different. It's really awesome. Of course, they perform those. I think this was the Heaven and Hell was the Mob Rules lineup, I believe. That of course, that it was Black Sabbath, and then after Black Sabbath kind of broke up in the mid 2000s, they got back together. Well, all the members besides Ozzy, got back together with Dio, and couldn't use the name, I guess, because Sharon's a word I'm not gonna say, but but yeah, they went on as Heaven and Hell and put out an album, and but yeah, this basically has them performing all the classic Dio era Sabbath tunes, along with some of the Heaven and Hell album or the Heaven and Hell band material as well. Um, so of course, Dio would die a year after this was recorded, and this was album's actually dedicated to Dio, Ronnie James Dio, and I would say that being it's a year before he passed, um, I guess you can kind of tell that his voice it's not as strong, but of course a weaker. I'm not going to say a weak Dio, but a weaker Dio is still better than half the fucking or the majority of the fucking vocalists in the more traditional heavy metal style. But yeah, I mean it's still a great listen and it's still really fun. Of course, it's got Mob Rules, Children of the Sea, um, Die Young, Heaven and Hell, Neon Nights, the classics. Follow the Tears actually from the what is it the Heaven and Hell album called? The Devil You Know or something like that. Um, that one's probably actually the standout on here besides those, out of the new material they performed. But yeah, super fun listen. Of course, there's an awesome picture of Dio. Um, but yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't. Heaven and Hell, Neon Nights, 30 Years of Heaven and Hell, live in Europe. Check it out, man. Solid stuff. So we're going to completely switch gears with the next album. And this is an album that I wouldn't say that I'm really super into this style of music anymore, but it's an album that I saw it was used for like $5 or something. I figured, this was a childhood favorite of mine, so why not? And the album in question is Rob Zombie with Hellbilly Deluxe. Um, this one was a super important album for me growing up. It was, I guess like this and of course, there was the dad rock, if you will, that like like Kiss and Priest and Van Halen and all that I was into. But there was also another side, which was like Disturbed and Rob Zombie and 3 Days Grace and Slipknot that I was also getting into at the same time when I was growing up, like in elementary school into middle school. And this was a super important album, I probably from the moment I heard Dragula, that fucking song still I think is a fun song. This is still a fun album. I re-listened to it a couple times, and it's definitely one that I would probably see myself at least putting on once a year and having some fun with, especially around like Halloween, because this is kind of like industrial horror metal if we're making up genres at this point, but yeah, just it's really fun. I think actually um say what you will about Rob Zombie. I think he makes some pretty catchy tunes, some pretty well written tunes, and some great industrial metal. Um, you know, I would actually say that as time has passed, this one's probably not aged super well, but it's still a fun listen. I would actually say that I find myself, if I'm going to listen to Rob Zombie, which is not very often, find myself listening to like the last three albums that he's put out, which I think all those are great, and the new single actually rules too of the album that's coming out next year. But yeah, I mean, just a really nostalgic album for me, and one that I still have some fun with when I put on. So Rob Zombie, Hillbilly Deluxe. This came out in 1998. I forgot to say that, I think. So moving on, we're actually going to talk about one of the few releases that I picked up a physical copy of in 2020. I mean, I guess money's been kind of tight, so I've kind of been finding that I want to pick up more of the classic stuff more than newer stuff. And but of course, this one, I was working and I saw it when I was working, so I picked it up. And that one's the new ACDC. You know, I got my notes here. Um, this one is just, it's definitely of course, with ACDC, you know what you're getting. But this one's definitely a step up from Rock or Bust from 2014. And, it's also a tribute to the late, great Malcolm Young. And it's a really solid album. I think it's a great, album to have a tribute to him on. You've got on the inside, you probably can't see it, but that little piece of tape there says this one's for Mal, which is pretty cool, I think. And there's the inside and the back. I would say standouts on here. I mean, Realize is awesome. Shot in the Dark's awesome. Demon Fire is a fucking ripping song. And No Man's Land has one of the coolest like riffs Angus has ever fucking composed. Or I don't know if it was Angus or Malcolm. It doesn't say, but this is just one. It's one of the coolest ACDC riffs I've probably ever heard, and it's just super solid album from probably one of the most consistent bands of all time. ACDC Power Up. Check it out. 2020. Moving on, we're kind of going to get back more into the metal side of things. This one is I showed an album from this band in it was either the last collection, no, it was the collection update before that, and probably said that one was my favorite of the band, you know, but this one's up there too, and we're talking about 1992's Danzig 3, How the Gods Kill. I showed this one along with the Blind Guardian album on on Nick's stream over at Deathlike Reviews, and was talking about them. We kind of talked about How the Gods Kill briefly. I think Jeff was saying this was might have been his favorite. I don't know that I would go that far, but it's definitely. I mean, the first four, you can't go wrong with. Um, but yeah, um, kind of lost my train of thought there. I thought somebody was coming down the steps, but yeah, just the first four Danzig you can't go wrong with, and this is no different. Godless is awesome. Anything, the title track, How the Gods Kill, has one of the best John Christ riffs um, I think he's ever done. Dirty Black Summer's got a killer groove. The only gripe about this album, I would say, is that I would say it's a little bit top heavy after, Dirty Black Summer. The second half of the album doesn't do as much for me. It's not as memorable. But, that's a very small gripe because the rest of the songs are still good. Um, but yeah, I mean, just a super kind of doomy, bluesy Danzig goodness. I mean, you know what you're getting from those first four Danzig, and you can't go wrong with it. So yeah, How the Gods Kill. Check it out. Oh, I think I showed. I don't even know if I showed the inside and shit. Yeah, and there's also a picture in here that I like actually better than the one on the back that I want to show. It's like them in a church. Really cool. But yeah, Danzig 3, How the Gods Kill. Excuse me. Check that shit out. So moving on, this is the last CD, but it's not the last thing I'm going to show. This one is from just a classic thrash band from the States, and I don't think it needs much more of an introduction than that. This is Steady Euphoria from Anthrax. Um, I would say this one, you kind of saw the progression of the Anthrax albums with, I would say, why am I forgetting the fucking name of the one that comes before this? Oh my god, I'm gonna have to go fucking pick it up now. I apologize. Um, fucking, oh my god, Among the Living. Among the Living. Among the Living was where we kind of saw Anthrax kind of get more of a. Sorry, all my CDs just fell over, but where we saw Anthrax kind of have more of a goofy, kind of lighthearted vibe to some of the songs, and this is kind of a continuation of that. This one is kind of the height of them not really taking themselves as seriously, which that's kind of why I like Anthrax, um, which is cool. It's kind of why I've always liked Anthrax, and I would almost say, in my opinion, this is like one of the first pizza thrash albums. Um, Sorry, I'm kind of scatterbrained now after I had to get up and look at that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, this is kind of Anthrax at the height of their more lighthearted stuff, like songs like uh, "Make Me Laugh," "Antisocial," that kind of stuff. And then of course there's some more serious stuff on there, like "Who Cares Wins," talking about homeless people and stuff like that. But yeah, super fucking awesome stuff. You guys know it. You guys probably know most of this stuff already. I'm just kind of filling in the holes of the classics. And of course, there's another example. They're not really taking themselves too seriously. They're kind of making fun of themselves, but that's kind of why I like Anthrax. But yeah, super fucking awesome stuff. Some solid pizza thrash, if you will. I know a lot of people kind of use that negatively to describe some thrash, but I actually like pizza thrash, like that, like this, some municipal waste and that kind of stuff. But yeah, Anthrax Steady Euphoria, check it out. So last thing, this is not a CD, this is not an album, but it's still related to music. I probably should have showed this in the last video. It probably would have gone along better with it, but I didn't think to. And yeah, this one's a DVD. It's a live performance. And yeah, let's just fucking talk about it. This is Dream Theater live at Budokan. This one was filmed. I want to say it was filmed in 2000. No, it was filmed in 2004 and put out in 2004. This one is kind of, in my opinion, the height of this lineup, touring off of um, Train of Thought, which they open with As I Am, which is fucking awesome. This whole era of the band I just love. Um, you know, because I think after this album and tour, the quality started to drop off. I would still consider the next couple albums to be, still some classic material, but there's definitely they didn't, they didn't get much better than this era of the band. I don't think. Train of Thought's one of my favorite Dream Theater albums, and live they were absolutely slaying on this tour. But yeah, super long set. This is 2 DVDs. It's got everything you would want to hear from this band on it. I think they've got, yeah. I mean, As I Am's on here. Hollow Years is on here. Um, let's see. Solitary Shell, Stream of Consciousness, Pull Me Under, In the Name of God, which that performance In the Name of God on here is fucking amazing. And you just need to fucking check it out. Buy it and fucking watch it and get lost in the fucking music. Dream Theater with Live at Budokan. So that wraps it up. Um, you know, hopefully we'll see how I feel. I'm probably going to try to record a few more videos today, and because it's Christmas, and I, I'm feeling generous, I guess. But anyway, I hope if you're celebrating, have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. If you're celebrating Yule or Kwanzaa or whatever, Happy Holidays, man. Yeah, just enjoy this, and Let's kiss fucking 2020 goodbye. Gene Simmons will probably be coming for my ass for saying that one. But yeah, be safe over the holidays and fucking keep it metal, man. Thanks for watching.